Okay, so we'll call to order the Excellence in Student Achievement Committee meeting. The first item of business is to read the checklist. So this is a checklist to ensure meetings are compliant with the right to know law during the state of emergency. As chair of the Sanborn Regional School Board's Excellence in Student Achievement Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone, with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the Sanborn Regional School Board's Excellence in Student Achievement Subcommittee have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 1-646-558-8656, meeting ID 973-6771-9841, or by clicking on the website address, following website address: public stream, www.youtube.com/c/SRSD meeting videos. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the Sanborn Regional School District at www.sau17.net. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 978-482-7394 or email at helpdesk@sau17.net. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. I will begin. Tammy Mahoney. I'm in my home. There's no one here at the moment, but there could be family members wandering in and out. Jamie?
Jamie Fitzpatrick. I'm in my home office. I'm alone.
Pam?
Row.
Pam? We'll skip Pam for now. Tom?
I am at my camp and there is no one here at this time.
And Patty?
I am home alone.
Okay, second call, Pam. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. We were good for a minute.
Oh, her mic is off. Gordon, can you unmute her?
Yep, there we go.
I am at home by myself, Pam Brown.
Thank you, Pam.
Pam. Okay.
Brand new Air, nice. MacBook Air, nice, huh?
Ah, there you go.
Don't even, I'm not going there, Jamie.
Do I have a motion on the minutes of our meeting of May 20th?
So moved.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Okay, roll call vote. All in favor, Jamie?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Okay, aye for me. Okay, thank you.
Seems like a million years ago.
What?
I said it seems like a million years ago.
I know, it does. Okay, so our first agenda item was to finalize our committee goals. And then we're going to have a grade reporting system search status update. I think we've all had some update because we're going to be talking about that at the meeting, at our board meeting at 6 o'clock. So I'm going to share my screen hopefully this will work. I haven't done this with this particular. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to provide a reminder of the goals that we had adopted at our last meeting. We had consensus, I think, that we would continue these forward. I just wanted to provide a reminder. And then just again, a reminder of the school board goals that we adopted at our last meeting in case we want to tweak our goals. So this is what we had, these are the goals that we had adopted. To develop a plan to implement improved math instruction, develop end of year benchmarks for each grade level K through 6 in math, with the intent of implementing a new grade reporting system by fall 2021, to explore a new grade reporting system and determine what and how much information is important for inclusion. So does anyone have any additional, I think, Pam, at the last meeting, you had indicated that you might have an additional goal you wanted to introduce. Does anyone have anything that they would like to add to this list before we begin discussing these?
It looks fine. Doesn't have to mention the strategic plan, but obviously it's part of the strategic plan.
So, right. So, yep. So, core 5-year strategic plan, and also, I mean, kind of all of these really relate to the work that we do.
Right.
Establishing a timeline plan and mapping to begin the implementation of math and reading programs. That math program begin implementation. That sort of maps back to these first two. Really, do we want to add? Do we want to change number 2 at all to add reading in here? I'm not exactly sure. We have not discussed reading very much in our committee. We've been focusing on math.
Honestly, reading's going pretty well. I think that we should focus. We have a lot to do with math. If we get too spread out, it's hard. We're going to talk about reading at the admin level anyway, but I'm thinking about the purpose of the committee and the meetings and whatnot. Math is a real concern on all fronts.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Okay.
I'm only,
Jamie?
the only thing I'm thinking on the math side is, do we specifically, because we're specifically calling out benchmarks or grade levels K through 6 in math. Clearly we'd want those to be vertically aligned. We've got a new math director, coordinator, whatever the proper title is, coming on board July 1. Do we somehow incorporate that into the goals, or I'm not sure how. I'm just kind of brainstorming here as to, we do have somebody we're bringing on board specifically to address this. Do we need to be more specific about that, or does that get incorporated into what we've already got defined?
You want me to answer?
Yes.
Yeah. The new person is focused on grades 7 to 12. And Donna Donnell, who's been with us for a while, will be focusing only on K6, which is something that I've talked about since I was hired, that Donna was spread way too thin and doing a great job with 3 buildings to try to manage a program. We see a significant dip in our math scores at about 8th grade. So Donna can work on the K6 part, and I would expect Grace to work very hard on 7 to 12, and I need her to stay focused on that. So I think that, in terms of assigning the benchmarks for grade levels K6, that would be Patty and Donna Donnell. So I just want to make sure who the people are, that's clear. I think the number 1, develop a plan to implement improved math instruction, that would fall largely on Grace for 7 to 12. And I think that's where we might want to clarify in number 1 that it's develop a plan to implement improved math instruction, A in 7 to 12 and B in K to 6, and then assign 7 to 12 to Grace and K to 6 to Patty and Donna. That
Yeah,
way
I
it's
think
really clear. Just that way it's just really clear and transparent.
Jamie?
yeah, it would make sense to me to do that. And also, that would also apply to 2. And then that way, okay, we've got the benchmarks in, we got the implementation in, Grace has got 7 to 8. And then, we could write the words in, or it's going to be implied. Clearly they have to be aligned. What's being done at K through 6 has to lead to what's going on 7 to 12, or look at it the other way. What you want to achieve at 12, this is the steps that you got to go all the way down to K in order to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a clear step that Jim from Oyster River, the superintendent at Oyster River, shared with me. He said getting as many kids as possible in Algebra 1 in 8th grade is a clear goal. So we're talking about overarching themes here, but Patty and I are already right in the midst of conversations about the micro, right? Like, what are the specific action steps? But I think for the purpose for this committee, I'm just outlining one thing, get as many kids as possible into 8th grade Algebra 1. That's a goal, but that's a subset goal. So I think that we're in good shape with these goals. And I will say that regardless of COVID, the math work has to move forward. Patty and I are committed that whatever we have to do to unpack whatever information we have and make changes, we're going to do our best. It's so hard to do it when you're in remote learning, to observe instruction and to talk about instruction. It's just a whole different world. So we'll do it, but I just want you to know that we're committed to doing everything that we can, regardless of our location in the fall. And again, we all are hoping and working toward hopefully having school in the fall, in person.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So are we good with number 1? Do we want to add stuff to number 1? My feeling is that it's implied that we're going to do K through 6 and 7 through 12. I'm not sure. I don't feel strongly that we need to necessarily assign staff people to those, but if other people do, we can add them.
I'm fine either way. I just wanted you to know how it would be working. It doesn't need to be in writing for me.
And I clearly understand what needs to be done K through 12. And I'm overseeing the whole spectrum of that. So I don't know that we necessarily need to write it all down. It just gets wordy and it's hard for us to sort of look at the goal and say, did we do this or not? So I'm very clear on what has to happen and who's assigned to what.
And excited. We're all excited.
Yeah, to me, the only reason I would break it out, I'd be in favor of breaking it out, is it just makes it clear to anybody that's actually paying attention at home in terms of looking at things, saying, wow, they've got 2 assigned resources to this, one focused on elementary and one focused on middle and high school. So, it just seems more meat to it than a simple statement. That's my only thought on it. I think from a doing the work perspective, I don't think it's going to make a lot of difference. My only concern was the messaging to the public.
Mm-hmm. And we could say develop a plan to implement improved math instruction for K through 12 and K through 6 and 7 through 12. And again, whatever the group wants. Pam, are you with us?
I'm just thinking about what a huge percentage of college students have to go to community college and retake high school math at community colleges because the universities don't want to spend money on remediation. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if we're going to talk to community colleges to see what kind of high school level math programs they're using to help kids, get up to speed for college.
I think that would be an action.
Very depressing. Like 60% of them are not ready they don't have the high school skills out in California. But these goals look fine.
Okay. All right. I'm inclined to leave 1 and 2 as is. And are we 3? Do we need to tweak 3 at all? Or do we want to leave that one as it is for right now?
I think it's fine because even if we adopt Alma after today or next week or in a couple of weeks, we still have to work on determining what and how much information is important for inclusion. And I would only recommend to the committee that important for inclusion in communication to parents.
Yeah.
So there's a different that I think that got lost in translation there, because the part that the big thing is making sure that parents can understand what's going on. The backside of it that you'll hear about in just a moment around Alma is they include way more than any software program I've ever seen, including curriculum mapping and the student information system, which is a significant savings to the district. And it's easier for teachers because it's all located in one spot. So I would just suggest that, and it's up to the three of you, but I would recommend saying inclusion in the grade reporting or the communication component or report cards to parents. But if you want to leave it the way it is, it's fine.
What do you guys think? Do you want to add for communication with
Well, we
parents?
can't add Alma until the board approves it, so
Right.
Right. We're just wondering if we want to change.
it'll trickle down to this.
Obviously, the
Maybe just put and determine critical content.
That's fine.
That's good. Yeah, that reduces how much we've got.
Open. Yep.
Yep.
critical content. Just change
Yeah.
this whole thing. Like that.
Yeah. That's-
Because that covers the front end, the back end, the middle, that covers the whole, yeah, the whole ball of wax.
Okay, if everybody's happy with these, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Did you second? I was looking away, Jamie. You
Yes, I
seconded?
did.
Thank you. Okay, roll call vote. All in favor, Jamie,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
and I am I as well. So that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. And now the moment we're I've been looking forward to hearing about this new grade reporting system. So could we get a status update on that? I'm going to stop sharing my screen here if I can figure out how to do that. There we go. Okay. Dr. Haynes.
Thank you. So last time we met, which feels like 100 years ago, we did talk a little bit about losing our connection with Motivus because of the downturn with COVID and everything else that has happened. The company's basically putting itself out of business and they will not be able to assist us anymore. This past spring, I would say from right before Memorial Day, well, a little bit before Memorial Day, even probably from May 18th, when we started looking at getting report cards ready, getting transcripts finalized, getting all the last reports together in the current system that we have, WASL. We spent probably 5 days worth of hours to get all of the information in and correctly done with the company. They were not able to get things done for us the way they should have been done. We had to go around and around. There was a lot of coding issues. Long story short, it caused a lot of headaches for people. Administrators, me, for people in the IT department had to get involved with coding and processes and things like that. So I went back in some of my notes from some of my earlier meetings in the year with my curriculum and instruction counterparts in the Seacoast region and started looking at other companies that we had been talking about as a district and as a Seacoast region, and came across this one, which is called Alma, A-L-M-A, and their website is getalma.com. And they are being used currently that I've checked in with folks in Pembroke and in Exeter, SAU 16. And this system is a robust system that includes a lot of components, but right now we're looking at the gradebook component. And the gradebook component has with it a parent portal that the parents will be able to go online and view student assignments that were missing. view student grades to see how the students are doing. If a child is homesick, let's say they end up with an ear infection and they're homesick, the teacher can attach an assignment into the system and the parent can take it and download it at home so the child can complete it at home if they can't come into school. It has additional components that you could purchase if you're looking for the complete package, which we're hoping to look at down the road, which would include putting all the curriculum into the system. It talks to Google Classroom, which is what our students use from at least third grade up to high school, so that assignments that are put in there, they actually show up in the grade system. The gradebook system is sort of a one-shot deal where the teacher can have the class up. So if I'm a third grade teacher and I'm looking at my students and I'm looking at their math grades or their reading grades, I can see for a certain assignment how all the students have done it. It sort of color codes: red, they're not doing well; yellow, they're sort of in the middle; green, they're doing really well. It'll give me overview of how everybody's doing. It'll give me a class sort of average to tell me if the kids are getting that. It'll go by standard and competency. If there's certain areas that students are not understanding, that they're struggling with, maybe they're really struggling with vocabulary, it'll tell them that. Teachers can also use that to map the assignments back to areas of study, so essential skills. So if they're working on, let's say in math, they're working on adding and subtracting fractions of different denominators, you can look to see how many times has that been practiced, how many times has that been assessed, and it's all sort of cross-referenced so that it'll tell you, well, you've assessed and practiced adding fractions of similar denominators 5 times, but different denominators only twice. So the kids need more practice in this, so that the teachers could really assess what's happening in the classroom, not only from the instructional component and the assessment component, but also how are the kids doing? Did everybody struggle on this particular thing? Well, why are they struggling on this? Was it the first time that they did it? Was this the 4th time that they did it? And it's really all in one, very crisp, very clean. And you'll see it at the board meeting tonight. Very clean, very easy to maneuver, sort of one-click entry to get in and look at this information. The parent view, like I was saying, they can go in, and if you've got Bobby and Cindy and Peter Brady and your family, and you want to go in and see, how everybody's doing, not only will you see that, but as a parent, you'll see all 3 children, and you'll also get a snapshot of, with the bigger system, maybe if they owe money, maybe Bobby is on the football team and he hasn't returned his permission slip for a field trip, and there's a fee attached to that. That'll show up in there. So there's a lot of different ways for the parents to view that. And the cost for just the grade book alone comes in at less than what we're currently paying for the grade book that we're using. There is a one-time implementation fee. There's also one-time support service fee that we would pay one time. And what that does is, for our whole life of our relationship with this company, whether we're with them for 5 years, 15 years, however long, we have in the system, as teachers are working through it and maybe something's not working or they don't remember how to do something, there's this little icon in the corner that's like a help desk that they can click on it and get instant access to help all the time. That doesn't cost any extra money. How do I put in a grade for this? Or how do I change, Bobby's grade for a certain assignment? They can go in, ask for help, and the help comes back immediately to them. And there are, I can read through the prices for you. I can give you some more information about that. Tom, I don't know if you wanted to step in. I know you sat in on the presentation earlier this week, but from looking at it with the administrators that we had, they feel very comfortable with it. I have heard nothing but glowing, and I mean glowing, reports from people I've talked to who use this company. And in the world of education, you don't get glowing reports about software ever. You hear people say, yeah, it works. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we like it. Yeah, they're using it. But this is like, oh my gosh, and if you need something, they'll get back to you. And the teachers like this. And it's one password for people to remember. And the parents like it. And any kind of report card that we design, and this kind of gets back to our 3rd goal that we just discussed. It's basically a template that you have drag and drop fields that you could put in as much information or as little information in each section that you want. So you could put in every single little thing that you want parents to see, or you could really scale it back. You could put in big boxes for comments. Lower grades, you're going to want a lot of comments. You could put little boxes in the upper grades for comments. completely customizable, completely tailored to what we need and what our teachers would find helpful and useful. Tom's got a thumbs up. Pam, your question?
Pam?
I was just wondering, is this used nationally, or is it just in New Hampshire?
So I did speak to the rep about that. They have been around for 8 years. They are currently in 45 states and in 45 countries. So not only are they, you know, in New Hampshire, but they're national. They're actually based out of Portland, Oregon. But one of the people who, actually the one person that I've spoken to the most, and she'll be presenting tonight at the board meeting, she was an educator in Pembroke. She finally retired after 30 years. She went to work for this company. She probably lives 10 minutes from my house. She's in Bedford. So she's, I mean, I could drive to her house if I needed to get something. But she's local. She would be walking us through this. And the folks that I've talked to at SAU 16 and the comments I've received in emails from Pembroke, like unbelievable things that they've said about this. And even to the point where the company, from the way I understand it, is quarterly. They have, I don't want to call them brainstorming meetings because it's really not brainstorming, but they have meetings where throughout the quarter, customers will say, hey, can you look at putting this in? Or, hey, can you think about designing a way to have us do that? And they'll go in and they'll pull all these comments and they'll sit for a couple of days and they'll pull this out. And these development teams will say, you know what, we think we could work on this. We're going to give this a try. And then suddenly teachers are finding that, oh, there's that thing that we were looking for. We wanted a way to, you know, calculate a certain thing, or we wanted to have something changed, or we wanted to have a way to maybe group kids and upload something to a whole group of kids instead of just one kid at a time. Developers are constantly going into this assortment of comments and figuring out, geez, what's a fun thing for us to work on? And they go in and they develop it and they roll it out and people are like loving it. So I'm hearing that they're very responsive and they've got, you know, with 45 countries and 45 states, they've got a lot of test cases to look at for successes and things that they can learn from.
Jamie?
So my question is more along the lines of, so we were working with Motivis. Motivis was the best thing since sliced bread. They end up dropping out. We go back and we look at other folks that we kind of looked at before, and we pick Alma. And now Alma is kind of like the best thing since sliced bread. Why did we skip over Alma before? If this was a kind of information that
because initially with Motivis, they were willing to work with us without charging us to sort of try to flesh out something without us putting any money into it up front. It was a no cost way for us to sort of explore a customized system without having to really invest any of the district's money, and give us time to try to figure out what were the capabilities out there. We really hadn't worked with any other gradebook systems other than the one we've currently got. The one that they had before that was long before a lot of the folks who are in the district now. And we liked what we saw with Motivis, especially since the price was right. If they're willing to work with you for free, if their main office was down the road, they were housed in a building down in Salem on exit 3, I believe. And it was easy to get in touch with them and easy to go down there and talk to the developers. The developers were coming in to talk to us. So there were a lot of pluses to us looking at that. But sometimes when things fall apart, better things fall together. And the SAU 16 experiment with Alma really didn't take off until February of this year. They really didn't have any prototypes ready with them. We didn't really have a lot of contact with things like that. They were just getting started last fall. They were sort of out in the weeds trying to figure things out, and they've sort of pioneered this. And in talking to them and knowing what their experience was, I wouldn't say it's the best thing since sliced bread, but we're comfortable with what we're hearing, that we're willing to go down this way because this is going to present for us an investment. We're going to have to spend money on this. We don't have the luxury of saying to Alma, can you do this for us for free? They're looking at us and they're saying, you know what, we've got 45 states, 45 countries. Why are we going to play with you? There's no point in this. There's no benefit for them. So we're actually able to capitalize on what SAU 16 did. And we really didn't put any investment into the Motivis experiment outside of our time. Yep.
So
Go ahead.
kind of a follow-up. So if SAU 16 and Exeter didn't get this on the ground really until February, and then they went to a shutdown, they were one of the first ones ready to jump. I think Tom was in discussion with them and they were jumping before everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
What feedback do they have as to the value of this in the COVID environment? So they put this thing out there. They've got this discussions going on with parents in a time when communications are key, where there's stress all through the system. How did this stand up to that reality?
Absolutely. I'm just going back in my notes to find this. So what they are finding is that they were able to work with the Alma team. So February was when it went live with them, with their parents. So it's not when they actually started working with them. They were working with them probably, what did he say here? They met with them in October. Budget things got in the way. They went back to them, and then by February, they were working on things with them very steadily. And early in March, they had a prototype that went live of the report card. And he said that Alma did multiple revisions of the report card with them throughout that process. They sent suggestions to the product team, which are reviewed quarterly. And they like the fact that it talks to Google Classroom. And their school board was very happy with it because it was providing accurate information. I don't know what system they had before. I don't know what they were comparing this to. I don't know if they were Infinite Campus. I didn't ask him those questions, but they were happy with what they saw. So this was kind of a piecemeal project that started probably in the fall and then ended up getting a prototype in March. So probably a 6-month time frame.
It would be, at least to me, I don't know about the other members. So we're going to hear in the school board meeting, as I understand, the pitch from the sales team of Alma as to how their process and stuff works. Man, if we could get somebody from SAU 16 that have just been through it and experienced it to be willing to, give us a half an hour of their time to tell us what a user's experience is as the sales guys, because I've listened to a lot of sales people.
Oh, I know. And
I've listened to some of the people that got the product that don't think so much about that.
Which is exactly why, Jamie, that I called the folks at SAU 16, because you can sell me, swampland in Florida, and that's great, but I don't care what you're telling me. I want to know from the people who are living this, what's happening. And so that's why I went out and I called them, and I actually was in emails with Pembroke, Epsom, that district, and my counterpart up there. And he was like, yep, let me know. I can certainly talk to you and I can give you information. We have good things to say about it. So we can absolutely have folks spend some time talking, either in a forum or however you want to do that. And we can have a Zoom call, however you want to do that, but definitely.
I mean, to me, that would just help me.
Trust.
I don't know about
I did not trust. I don't trust what, salespeople tell you, because they have a goal. They want to sell you something. And as an educator, I've got to make sure that what we get is going to work for not only our parents, but our teachers are going to be able to do it, because the less time they're spending in these systems, logging in, logging out, fighting with the computer, doing whatever it needs to do, the less time they have to work on teaching and learning. And so my goal is to try to find something that's going to fit many different situations, and absolutely, we can certainly set up something.
Tom?
Thank you. I'm trying to work on my Zoom manners. Jamie would like that. No, I actually called the person in charge of it at Exeter myself, Jamie. And I know him from a previous job. We had worked together a number of years ago. and he assured me that it's fantastic, that he's completely comfortable with it. I did think, Jamie, of one idea that might help us to move forward without feeling too much unreasonable or unnecessary pressure this evening. One thing we could do is we could have the board vote to approve moving forward with the software, provided that we have a conversation between the E.I.S.A committee and some current users to make sure that they feel comfortable. So in other words, giving the committee the ability to allocating the funds, and then giving the committee the ability to do a little more homework, and then having a meeting. Basically, the three of you need to feel comfortable with this, no matter, I mean, you all need to feel comfortable with it. I want the board involved in this, right? I want the board to feel, and I think you're going to feel great after tonight, but we, in order to just kind of expedite things in the sense of just not having too many meetings and tying us up unnecessarily in bureaucracy, the board could authorize the E.I.S.A committee to move forward. Because really, we're going to work together on this all year anyway. Even if we adopt the software, we still have to talk about what we're going to put in the grade reporting, what it's going to look like, how it's going to work. The E.I.S.A committee will have to do some work this summer on that, right? Because what I want for teachers is smooth. Teachers have enough to deal with. When I talk to my teachers, what they tell me is I have to have 6 or 7 different internet tabs open just to teach these days. Our goal is to pare that down, and Alma seems to do that. But Jamie, I can tell you that I have significant experience because I used to do the job of handling the student information system in my previous roles. So as a guidance counselor and an assistant superintendent, I did a lot of work on that. If I were to develop a software, what I saw from Alma looks a lot like what I would want to develop. Once we get into using it, my tune may change. There is no thing that's better than sliced bread. We just need we need to recognize that what we have right now is definitely not working. And this spring was the worst it's ever been. The second piece is, I know Power School, which is another big contender. So Jamie, you asked why, I want you to know that I know the software systems that are out there, and I'll tell you 2 of them. One is Power School and one is Infinite Campus, and they're like dinosaurs.
And the other one that I know, which in addition to those 2, is Aspen. Talk about clunky and unusable, and trying to sift your way through a pile of junk. It's awful. They're just awful. Power School, when I was an assistant principal of a 1,500 student middle school and I was doing scheduling, I called Power School help to help me with the schedule issue. They said, "Oh yeah, don't worry, we'll fix it." I went in the next morning. They fixed it all right. They took out all the work that I had done. This was mid-July. All of that I had done was gone. If you wanted to see somebody crying because I had to have everything done by the beginning of August to send schedules out to 1,500 students, that was me, Power School. I have nothing good to say about that company.
No, and I worked with Power School, and I actually was at a professional development session for a week, and I ended up, I was talking to the professional developer, and he said, "Well, if you want to make the master schedule, you have to do X, Y, and Z." And I said, "No, it doesn't work that way." I took it in another room and created the master schedule and brought it back. And he's like, "Oh, I can't have that. I don't want that level of frustration for my teachers and my administrators." So I don't know, Jamie, until we use it for a year. I need you to know that if we do this, I'll answer you next June as to how it went. Okay. I just want to be clear about that. Go ahead, Pam. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Pam, go ahead. Yep.
So, funny story. I was on our distance ed software committee at my college. This was like 6 years ago. We were trying to pick a plagiarism program to detect plagiarism when they submit written work. We're looking at Turnitin. We had a little conference with Turnitin before we made our decision. And they said, "Oh, you just, they submit their paper. We just have an algorithm that can search for that set of words. If it looks like it's plagiarized, it'll come up as potentially plagiarized." And I said, "Well, what if they, instead of having spaces between the words, they have letters, but they're white, so you can't see it's actually a letter instead of a space?" You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So instead of a poem that's popular, it won't show up as that poem because they've inserted white letters where the spaces are. and they hung up on us. Turnitin hung up on our teleconference, and I thought, wow, and I know nothing about online software, and I thought of that. So I'm glad to see they've been at it for 8 years. They probably got a lot of the bugs out.
They've got enough, I hate to use the term guinea pigs, but they've got enough guinea pigs out there that I think
Correct.
if we have a hiccup, it's not going to be a hiccup that they have never seen before. We've got less of a chance of that. But I'll tell you, I'm highly skeptical because it's that Power School story that bit me, and it still hurts. And this was 12, 13 years, and it still hurts. I still talk about it. So I'm highly skeptical, and I like to talk to. Exactly. I want to talk to the folks who are using it, because if our people have to use it, I want to know what that experience is like.
And from my perspective, Patty has to live with this. It's kind of her bailiwick. So I want to support her, but I need the board to feel comfortable and have buy-in. And Jamie asked some really good questions, right? We were working with Motivis and we were optimistic. I asked Alma, can you make the graph for us that has the kids in, you have all your kids in the class at one level on the graph on an assessment, and this is where your child is, or here. Can you make that? And they said, we don't have that right now, but that's a really good idea. I don't know what to tell you in terms of like whether or not this is going to be okay, right? I can tell you that I loved what I saw, and I think it's a great idea, and I'm willing to put the time into spending a year with it and see how it goes. That's what I'm asking you for. If we do it and it works, it will save us $20,000 in year 2, because it includes the student information system and the curriculum mapping. If this works in year 2, in year 1, we'll save about $2,000. So it's not costing us any more, but it's worth exploring, I think. And I think the way to explore this one is to go with it for a year and give it a run. Let's see what happens. Tammy, Jamie has his hand up. I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, Jamie.
The $2,000, Tom, that includes covering the one-time cost that Patty mentioned?
No. That was what it would save us this year.
But you still have the one-time cost. It's going to cost you something.
Exactly. In year 2, the total cost would save us $20,000.
20,000.
Take
right.
the one-time costs off.
And
Right.
the one-time cost was that 14,373 or whatever it was in your data set.
I didn't add the one-time cost together, but it's 7,300 and 5,200. So that's
okay, 12.5. That one. All right. Yep.
Yeah, that's the one-time cost, which is the standard implementation and also the support services. So it's mostly them figuring us out, us figuring them out, making sure that we have up and running. We get everybody the professional development and the help that they need to get this stuff together. I'm going to need to give them all of our data sets, who are the students, who are the teachers, which teachers are in what school. They're going to have to set all that stuff up for us. And once it's set up, it'll run itself. So that's just the one-time fee. And then in the second year, if we were to continue and we liked this enough to add in all the other stuff, which bundles together the curriculum mapping, which we've got to get that straightened out. We've got curriculum all over the place. We've got to get that, corralled and I feel like I'm herding squirrels right now. So having all that in one place where the teachers could really just pull everything together. The other nice feature of that, but that's like down the road, is if I'm teaching a class and then suddenly, we have an explosion of growth in the grade that I'm teaching, and we hire a new teacher, instead of that teacher having to build everything over, we just copy all the curriculum over from my second or third grade class, push it right over to her. She's got everything she needs. She's good to go.
That's the part I love, by the way.
And it's all the units, all the lessons, all the everything. You can add as much in there as you want to. You can put video links in for students to watch at home. So my child's home with an ear infection. They've got a video they've got to watch. Here's this little video clip about, how butterflies become, turn into butterflies from caterpillars. The video plays within the student portal so that there's none of this weird stuff that can happen from the internet getting in. So they've got a lot of these safety components set up. And that's looking at the whole system. But so going back to the cost, yes, eventually we would save the $20,000, but the one-time fee is going to happen no matter what we change to. And I'm not sure what those prices would be at other companies, but Tom and I know of 3 that we don't want to touch. For reasons of many.
Amy's still asking.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of questions. You mentioned that they got a help and you get it immediately. Is
Yes.
that like a help, like a chat where there's somebody live that can help you, or is that like
Yes.
Microsoft has it, just a pain in the neck and you go chasing your tail?
No. Clippy, the little jumping paper clip. I'm showing my age. No.
Yes, I get. There you
Clippy,
go.
yes, you know who Clippy is. No, there's a little. I don't even. It's not even a face or a head, but there's like this little thing, and you click on it, and it says, something comes up and says, I'll be with you in a minute. Type in your question, and the average response time is less than 9 minutes. So if a teacher is waiting, like they're in the middle of something, you can wait 9 minutes. You can't wait 45 minutes or 3 days when you've got to go in, put in a help desk ticket. All right, I'll close this. Maybe tomorrow I'll come back and I'll have an answer. This is within 9 minutes. There's somebody there to walk you through and to show you, okay, do you see this on the screen? Click on this, go in there. This is how you do that.
Okay, so it's live help.
It's live help. Yep. It's not Clippy. No Clippies allowed.
That's a really good question, Jamie. Thank you.
I'm interested in seeing the demo, seeing what they can. I mean, this is their best foot forward with all the bells and whistles that they can think to push in to get you to buy. It's interesting what they've got to set up to do.
And we only asked for about a half hour tonight because Jim didn't want us to go on forever.
Right.
So if you feel like as a team, you'd like the board to authorize you to make this decision and you'd like an hour long or an hour and a half meeting with them to really go deep, we're good with that.
Mm-hmm.
We need you to feel comfortable. That's all I care about. But I also can't wait until the end of August to roll it out with teachers, right? So
Understood.
Patty's willing to put in whatever time you need to make you feel comfortable. And I'm going to get out of the way on that. I'm going to let her handle it. I mean, she does a great job. I know she's got it, but the demo was really good. And if you'd like a deeper demo after tonight, we can set that up and we can set up a conversation with a couple of people.
Yep.
Like the off the record part that Jamie wanted. I kind of like that idea of the board giving you guys authorization because we're the ones doing, together the work. But it's up to you. If you feel good tonight and you want to move, that's fine too. But it's all about doing the right thing. That's all that matters right now.
Yeah, that's my thought. I mean, and I had a discussion with Tom for the benefit of others earlier. And my thought was, geez, we're about ready to jump into bed with this one guy. And then all of a sudden we're really gung ho to go with the other guy. It just gives me nervousness that speed is being prioritized over effectiveness or right fit, however you want to frame it. So just need to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need you to feel comfortable. So we appreciate that. And we're here to help and we'll get through it and figure it out. Can I just say that, can we set a deadline of July 15th though, just so that we stay focused? Because I'm
fine with that.
Yeah, I just need a deadline because we're either going to go one way or the other. And if we're going to stay with Wazzle, we got to get to work to fix what happened this year. And I'm hoping we don't end up there, but if we do, I just need to know because there is a lot of information that has to be put into Alma to make it work, right? And we have to task the tech department with that data dump. And for those of you who are in technology, I think Tammy would understand that systems end is really big and it's going to take time. And my favorite words are massage the data. Yeah, that means sit there and read it all yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, if we could take a break before the next meeting, that would be really awesome.
We can.
Thank
We
you.
did have one other agenda item, math curriculum search status update. Is there anything?
So what I do have to tell you about the curriculum search is that it's continuing. We are expecting a few things from publishers, hopefully by mid to late July. We do have our math consultant, Tracy Zager, who is a published author through Stenhouse, coming to work with our teachers at grades 4, 5, and 6. She's going to be doing some in-house training, whether that's going to be live or remote. We're not sure yet. And we've got some kits ordered that are going to help with fact fluency. And we have some number sense kits that are coming and some number sense professional development for our teachers. So we're going to have teachers getting professional development from grades K through 6 on a lot of the essential skills and those foundational things like fact fluency, number sense, being able to count, multiplying, skip counting, those kinds of things. And working through making sure that the teachers have a good, strong foundation in some of the math. So, and we're looking at, mid to late July to hear from some publishers and start piloting some units to see what teachers think of that.
That I want taken very slow, because
Yep.
this is almost one thing. We're talking about $40,000. This is hundreds of thousands of dollars. When you figure not just the cost of the curriculum, but the cost of teacher time,
Yep.
which is our most expensive commodity.
And
Right.
all the training that has to go with it. Yep.
Professional development day for a school district when you pay people per diem costs between $80,000 and $100,000. We take it very, very seriously. And I want to make sure that whatever math program we choose, Jamie, you might accuse me of going too slow on that one, because I want it right. It's
Has
important.
to be right.
It does.
The cost of getting it wrong is pretty exponential.
Yeah, the cost of getting it wrong is, and it's also bad for kids. Yeah, the kids. Kids need to learn how to do math. Tell my 11-year-old that, please, somebody. He doesn't like math. He loves to write and read. You can't win them all, right? I'm trying. All right, guys, I'm going to use the restroom and see you in 15 minutes. Are you good?
Is everybody okay with that? I'm fine
Yep.
with that.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank
we
you.
are adjourned.